Welcome back to the Aussie Shed, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Project Fairlady. Quite a bit on the board today, folks. What I'm about to do is tear down these front hub and kingpin assemblies and replace everything that's worn in them, which is basically everything that moves. We will be doing wheel bearings and seals, kingpin bearings. I'll be replacing all the wheel studs, modifying the dust shields for the bigger brake rotors, cleaning up all the crap off the front hubs. They're just covered in corrosion and overspray and all sorts of garbage. We'll be completely cleaning up the hubs, de-rusting them, as I say, putting new wheel studs in, getting rid of all this paint. So plenty to do, folks. How far we get in one video? Well, I guess we're going to have to see. So let's move in a bit closer and start turning some spanners. Alright folks, well the first thing that we've got to do here, is separate a few bits and pieces so we can deal with them separately. Ideally, the first thing we want to do is separate this main hub from the kingpin upright by removing this bolt through here. Going by the look of it, I've already actually loosened it and sort of given it a bit of a hammer. There's normally a split pin through here. You just basically, get the split pin off, rattle gun the nut loose, and then just kind of hammer this through and it'll just come apart. I'll go more into detailing this a little bit later once we get all the hubs sorted out, but the main focus at this stage is probably just going to be the hubs because there's quite a bit of work just in those alone. So let's separate these two major components and we'll move on from there. Alrighty. Wow, look at the state of that. You can see, folks, there's been a bit of moisture in here for quite a period of time. I guess we'll have to have a bit of a look at this because it's a little bit rusted and a little bit pitted. Makes me think they weren't properly hard together. Well, it's a bit of a mess. Oh well. I know you can buy the whole kind of kingpin piece there, this guy. I've actually already got all the bearings and everything for it. I haven't bothered getting these because I wanted to have a look at them before I got them off, but we'll have a look at this guy. I might have to replace it. That's probably going to be alright in there, I reckon. But we'll see. So we'll toss this aside for the moment, folks, and we'll just focus on this hub. Wow, that's really tight. I'd say this wheel bearing's bloody cactus. It's because I can't really move it. Alright. First thing we'll do, folks, we'll punch these wheel studs out. Don't need to really be too careful with them because they're going. They're all going to be replaced. Really need to hit them out where you've got this little bit of a recess there, just so they don't catch on this flange. Oh, Jesus, this just does not want to turn. What is going on there? Oh, well, we'll just hit them around. There we go, that's one. So that's probably not as good a spot. It's probably better off going down through here. Yep, that's the spot. Does not want to turn. Wow, that was fun. Now we're there going. So we've got a little bit of a seal in the back here, folks. There's normally a cap that covers this. You can see around the edge here there's a seal. We'll just use a seal pulley. You can use a screwdriver or whatever and just get that seal out. That's it there. Once that's gone, it exposes your speed sensor ring around there. To get that out, we have to get this nut off. You can see that the nut has been hammered in on the flats of the stub axle there. So we'll straighten those out just using some punches and stuff. Impact this nut off, which will then give us access to the speed sensor ring, So we'll straighten this out and we'll be bloody good to go. Just using some little coal chisels for this, folks. We'll see how successful we are. I reckon I'm fairly close. I might see if I can just impact it off and that'll unbend it the rest of the way. There we go. Yes, we'll see. Might be able to reuse it. We'll have a look at it later. Our speed sensor ring just lifts out like that, folks. Just sort of get on either side and just pull it out. Put this to one side so that you don't damage it at all. And the next thing we have to do, folks, is we have to press the wheel hub out of the bearing. So we've got to get on that and we've got to push it right through, because we need access in behind this hub to a circlip to be able to sort of pull the bearing carrier and everything out. So we'll go over to the press and we'll see if we can press this baby out. Actually, folks, I think I'll set this up over here. I'll just go and grab a big bearing splitter and we'll sort of load it all up over here before we take it to the press. Bearing splitters, folks, cheap and something you use a fair bit. I could possibly support the hub off these brake caliper mounts and other things maybe, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass. I think I'll try this first, see how I go. I think this is going to get it. I'll just snug this up a bit. Yeah, I reckon that's going to get it, folks. I reckon that is going to get it. You can always try and just drive this out too, folks. Just you know, go at it with a bloody hammer or something and drive it out, but there's more chance of, you know, wrecking stuff when you sort of do that. If you can just get things so that they're properly supported everywhere, much better chance of everything coming apart clean and without breaking anything, you know. Let's get this over in the press and see how we need to set it up. Alright, folks, we're all set. Let's see how we go. There we go. Laughing. Let's get it back to the bench and have a look at it, eh? That's our front axle there. Bearing looks rust on it, of all things. And tapered roller bearing, folks. Tapered roller bearing. That's our seal, just there. So we've got to press that off separately. And we've got to get all this apart now. First thing we've got to do is get this brake dust shield off, so let's get into that, eh? How about we see if we can slide a woodworking chisel under there anywhere. It is starting it, folks. We are starting to get tiny little gap. There we go. That's the trick. You always got to find the little trick that does it, folks. Just smacking it up with something rather than trying to lever it. Hey, they're getting wild now. There it is. One dust shield. Ready for modification. Alright, so that's our hub there. Pretty sad looking. The poor old thing, look at it. Corrosion, overspray, bloody hammer marks from this bloody tie rod end being beaten off it many times, probably over the years for wheel alignments and stuff. But that's not a problem, folks. We'll make it all new again. So what we've got to do next, folks, is get this whole carry assembly removed from the hub. The whole thing will just slide out of the hub. Bit of a pain in the ass to do because you actually have to press on the back of this taper bearing here, which in my opinion tends to kind of spread it, but there's no other way to do it other than to press on the back of that to be able to push it out. But before we do that, there's a circlip. Probably can't see here because my camera's so shit. There's a circlip around the edge there that we need to get out first before we try and press that out. So I will attempt to do that, and they are a absolute prick of a thing to do. Hey! We did it, folks! We did it! Look at that! And we didn't even destroy it! Oh, you got to get a bit of a win every now and then. Yeah, that's alright, that'll clean up. Alright, what a bloody ordeal that was. So as I say, this whole inner bearing carrier there has to come out through this way. So we'll go and set this back up on the press, and we'll push that whole section through. And we're all set. She's a little bit tricky, this one, folks, because there's not a lot to get under the edge here. I don't have anything that I can use to support it all the way around. I'm pretty sure this should be right. If anything starts to go tits up, we'll just have to stop and reassess the situation. Remember if there was a ledge? Oh no, we're past the ledge. Alright, that's good. I think. Past the ledge. There it is there. I didn't try and muck around with that. Let's get this back right. Sure, that should be it right there, folks. Hopefully. Preparation, folks, preparation. See what happens. There it is. Hey! To the bench. So you saw that, folks. Quite violent getting that apart. You see why you really need a press to be able to do things like that. Yeah, I don't know how you do that without a press. I just honestly don't think that you could. Ball joints and stuff, yeah, you can do them in a ball joint press and things, but things like this, that's press territory. So that's it, folks. That's your bearing carrier. The other side of it goes, you know, your hub bearing on that side gets carried on the other side there. You can see there's sort of some significant marks in there. Doesn't look like it's overheated. It looks like it's possibly sat for a long time and with water in it. Maybe rusted, or seems to be the same thing on that side, just kind of rust marks where the rollers are. Yeah. Well, the rollers look pretty rusty as well. Don't know, folks. I just don't know. I don't really know the history of this thing. Alright, so the next thing we've got to do is we now have to press this guy off. How are we going to do that? Looks like another job for the bearing separator. Ah, yes. That seems to be the go. See why you got to have a bearing separator, folks. Like I said, they're not that expensive a tool. You can get really tiny ones and really big ones. In my opinion, the bigger the better. They will shrink up a fair way, whereas the small ones won't expand a fair way. Yeah, you get a lot more flexibility out of the bigger ones. Alrighty, that's pretty good. I think that is just going to work out very nicely indeed. The only issue is going to be we're going to have to set the press up with a bit of height to clear, because this won't clear in between my table. So we're going to have to support this on top of stuff to be able to get that fully out, because there's a fair amount of engagement with this bearing that we need to push it. So we need to probably push it that plus the thickness, maybe, or close to it, to get it out. So I'll go and set this up at the press, folks, and I'll give you a look once it's ready to go. Alright, folks, she's all ready to go. I reckon the compressor's going to come on halfway through this, so just bear with me, folks, and we'll press this sucker out. Damn it! Didn't quite have enough packing. I reckon 5mm's going to get it. Hey, and there she blows. To the bench. Alrighty, so that first bit of compression that you may have noticed when it was starting to press, the whole thing just kind of squashed down. That was actually the seal pushing up onto the bearing, just because, you know, like where we had the bearing splitter located, it just wasn't possible to get it sort of directly under the bearing. Well, it was sort of under it. So that's all our bearings off now, folks. So now it's time to clean these suckers up, and even clean myself up. I'll be back in a second, folks. Thanks to the magic of YouTube, folks, it's now a couple of days later, and I've been continuing to work on these, and I've actually got the other hub and upright up to the same stage as the one we're working on, and I've actually gone a little bit further with it. I've actually finished the cleanup of the hub and the stub axle. So let's have a bit of a look, eh? It's not often I'll get to do like a side-by-side comparison. So there you go, folks. That's just wire wheel, just the you know, the sort of bench grinder wire wheel, and then finishing off just with some smaller wire wheels on the drill and on the die grinder and stuff. So you can see it's just, you know, it really doesn't take that long to do either, folks, to go from something that looks like that to something that, you know, just looks like that. It's just spotlessly clean and real nice, real nice. And same deal with the stub axles, folks. So once again, wire wheel on the bench grinder, and maybe a few other little wire wheels, but I think mainly I did this one completely on the bench grinder. But you know, all that bloody horrid rust and crap like that, all the edges and everything. And the biggest change on the face, mate. And these were identical, you know. There was, you know, no one was particularly worse than the other. If anything, I think this may have actually been the worse one. But yeah, not bad at all. So by the time we get, you know, new wheel studs and everything in it, and I'll probably put some sort of a coating on these to, you know, delay the surface rust a bit. It's a little bit hard with things like this because your brake rotor goes kind of right against it, and it just kind of promotes surface rust and stuff. But I'll see. I might paint the centre just out with some black paint because that's sort of pretty exposed. But yeah, hope you like that, guys. It just shows you what you can do with a bit of time in a wire wheel. So what I think I might do, folks, is I might start cleaning up these two on the wire wheel. I'll just shoot a little bit of footage and I'll just stick it in there. I won't sort of film the whole lot because, you know, it's probably going to be very boring to watch. But at least I'll do some parts where you can see the major transformation happening. So I'll set up the wire wheel and let's go and get into it, eh? And just like magic, folks, we now have two. How bloody good's that? Just goes to show you what you can achieve with a wire wheel and a little bit of hard work. We now have two really nice, clean stub axles that are, you know, as good as a new part. As good as a new part. Ready to have new wheel studs pressed into them. I am going to put some sort of a coating on them. I will probably just use some of the ferric tarnate spray that I've got, which just blackens the steel, just on the back side of these and possibly on the face. And I'd say I will paint with Pour 15 inside of these just because they're a bit more exposed, you know. And yeah, then they'll be sort of good to go. You can't really put paint on this face just because the paint will be clamped between the brake rotor and, you know, the face of this this hub sort of thing. So yeah, I'll get some stuff on those and they should be good to go. Both our hubs are now done, folks. You know, you would have seen me do the second one out there. They both look very nice and clean. They've come up really, really good. I've dressed up all the areas where they were beat to hell, where the tie rod engages, just in this sort of position. Just, you know, they were just a bit of a mess. Lumps and bumps and all that sort of stuff. It's not hard to just kind of lineage them sort of down, just to frag to get rid of all that sort of crap. But as you can see, they're just nice and clean, and, you know, you don't get friggin' filthy working with them anymore. And, you know, once they're all assembled, they all look real nice, and you know when you've got any issues with anything, if anything's leaking, if there's any problems, you know that it's nice and clean. It makes it really, really easy to spot issues, you know. And plus, it's also really easy to keep them clean. Once stuff's clean, you know, when you get under there and you're sort of servicing the car, it's very easy just to wipe stuff over and just have a bit of a look at everything, you know. I'm not really trying to achieve any kind of a, you know, any sort of a show finish or anything. That's just not what I'm into, guys. But what I am trying to do is just achieve, you know, a new as kind of a finish, which I consider this to be, you know, just nice and clean. And, you know, when they're all reassembled, they'll just be sort of good as new. So that's fantastic. So the other thing I've been doing, folks, is I've been working on the dust shields. Now, that's your original dust shield for the front there, or one of them that we pulled off. And this is a 370Z dust shield, slightly modified. I've actually already cut the middle out of it there, folks. Excuse me, I probably should have showed it to you before it was before I've molested it, but you know, I couldn't help myself. Couldn't help myself, folks. So what I'm doing, I'm going to cut the center out of this, and then I'm going to weld it into the center of that one. There's a little bit more to it than that. You need to put a slight step in here of about 5mm, just so that I get the right clearance behind the brake rotor, as per OEM on a 370Z. So it's a little tiny bit of work in doing it, but it's not huge, folks. It's not huge. So I have this one here that I've already been working on, folks. It's now in primer. It's all been welded back together, and you know, it's just about ready for paint. I've been waiting to paint it before I get this this sort of other one done. But you see the process, folks. You see the process. As I say, it's just a matter of get off there. It's just a matter of adapting the two together. Cut the middle out of that one, so we've got something to mount it onto the hub, and you know, then we've got the right size dust shield to cover our new extremely large front rotors that we're going to be putting on there. A lot of people probably wouldn't go to the effort of doing the dust shields, but you know, like, it's just one of those things, folks. You don't really need them, but in my opinion, they just help keep a lot of the brake dust off your suspension components and all that sort of stuff, you know, and it just sort of gives an OEM look to the brake conversion, which, you know, makes Trevor very happy. I've just got the old and new brake rotors, folks, just sitting here on the ground, just while I'm sort of taking measurements from them and all that sort of stuff, so you can see the obvious size difference between the two. So you got your 300zx twin turbo rotor there, and you got your 370Z Akebono front rotor there. Slight difference between the two, folks, but something that should help to bring the old Fairlady back up to speed with modern vehicles. Alright, folks, I think we're going to have to leave this video here. So next week on Project Fairlady, we'll probably be tackling some of the reassembly of this. Pretty sure I have all the wheel bearings and seals here in the shed somewhere. I'm starting to lose track of all the bloody crap that I've got for this thing. Apart from that, we'll probably start pulling the kingpin arrangement apart and having a bit of a look at that as well. Mainly because I need to get that upright separated so I can get it off for powder coating with all the rest of the stuff. And hopefully I'll have that other dust shield done and have it painted, and we can, you know, it'll start looking pretty good. So as always, folks, thanks for stopping by the Aussie Shed. Bloody pleasure to have you here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not already done so, and hit the bell so you get notifications of any new videos. And I'll bloody well see you on the next one. Cheers.